listening to the RM Podcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host, Sean Sebastian, and
Keith Cheatham.
Mr. Cheatham. Is he going to tell us this week? Whoa. Oh, I went to COVID green for a second. But we don't need that.
No,
There we
COVID's
go.
over.
COVID is over.
It's over.
We're in a post-pandemic world now.
Brandon won.
The masks are coming off. That's right.
AMC has announced that
They listened to
they
this
will
show
now
last week.
follow state guidelines, and if your state doesn't require masks, neither will they.
Can you believe that? Oh, somebody's got their volume up, I think.
That might be me.
Hey,
it
you know,
was
but
me.
we're
Oh,
working.
man.
We're on air.
I like
We're
listening
live.
to myself.
We're
live.
live.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I drive
It
home and I
happens.
rewatch the show and I cut you all out and I just listen to me
You two
the whole time. I'm like, man, that guy's funny.
You have it on like
I do
a
it.
fader that
I
just
fade it.
only listens to your
Right.
the frequency of your voice.
Yep.
That's amazing.
It's my voice, my
It's
cough,
amazing.
and my clearing of the throat.
Hey, well, it's better than him
That's my
saying
signature.
his signature catchphrase. Oh, I forget what it is now.
It's
Well, here's the thing.
here's
here-
the thing.
well, it's
Wait,
better
wait,
than
wait,
your.
wait, no,
it's
I'm
better
gonna
than
cut
your.
you off right there.
Yeah,
'cause I
it's
got a
better
point.
than your signature. F you. I'm going to talk now.
F you. It's your turn to talk.
That's right. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic week here on the Red Moon Podcast. Got a great show for everybody. Hope you all had a good Memorial Day weekend.
I did.
Want to thank all those who, of course, serve in our military and those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Hopefully those...
Well, that's what it's about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Everybody, you know, they have cookouts and barbecues, drink booze, have fun, but they forget that the only reason they can do any of that is because of the lives that soldiers have put down to ensure our freedoms.
Well, I like to
Absolutely.
think I do that because I know that. It's like, if you're going to fight and die
Well,
for my freedom,
absolutely.
then I'm going to, by God, use
D-
it.
Yeah,
I'm not
damn
saying
right.
don't do those things. I'm just saying make sure it's like you, where you're actually doing it because you know why. A lot
Yeah.
of people never give soldiers a second
Some
thought on
people
Memorial
were
Day.
just happy, hoping that you would have a happy long weekend.
It's just a 3-day weekend.
You know, that's it.
Yeah,
So-
some people hate the military, but they're
You know
glad
what?
to have that
Some
long
people
weekend.
don't have any weekends anymore because
That's
they
true.
died.
Wow.
Giving their
So,
life for freedom.
I can't
just saying.
I can't argue against that.
When
That's-
you take your 3-day weekend, you better remember.
I remember it because I tacked on 2 vacation days so that I could have a 5-day weekend.
5-day weekend, and you are free to do
Well,
that.
and because
Hmm.
I don't want to tout it, but I could just kind of conveniently say happy birthday, Sean, on Thursday
Oh, thanks.
because yours is your birthday is on June the 3rd.
And yours is June the 2nd,
Oh,
right?
no, are you serious? Yeah, it is.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
It is.
Wow. How did that happen?
I don't know.
You know?
Our parents loved us.
Yep.
Not to steal your thunder,
Made
but
us
I was
Geminis.
I got really excited
That's
this
right.
year because I realized my birthday falls on a Tuesday, which is when the show airs. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, we could celebrate my birthday on the podcast.
Oh, but
Then we were going to Florida that week, so I won't be here anyway.
Oh, sad.
Oh.
But I'll be in Florida for my birthday, so
You can't.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
mean,
complain about that.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask if you wanted to take another trip to Chicago to promote our show.
oh yeah.
You know,
well,
you've been doing that every weekend since.
I haven't done that every weekend.
Yes, you have. You've been flying up there on the Red Moon Tit, and you've been.
Red Moon Tit.
That's right. Taking all the money out of our coffers to try to go up there and spread the word about Red Moon.
Right.
And you know who's been paying for that?
Not you.
I know.
No.
'Cause I don't have any money.
No.
Well, speaking of,
I'm like that guy on the what's the Johnny Knoxville movie about the
Jackass?
handicap? About the handicap Olympics?
Oh, the ringer.
The ring. I'm like,
yeah.
when the F did we get ice cream?
Yeah.
It's like,
When the F
like
did
when
we
did
get
we
money?
get paid?
I was going to say though, speaking of money, Memorial Weekend proved to be a success for the box office.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
And the movie we're reviewing led the charge. It actually was projected to make 60 million opening weekend before the pandemic ever hit, and it made 57 million anyways. So it wasn't far off from doing
actually-
what it was going to do before. You imagine though, Had there not been a pandemic, maybe it would have broken
Yep.
that 60 million projection.
I think it
We're-
might
and
have.
we're discussing
And
A
who
Quiet
knows
Place
if
2.
it could still, based on popular belief, and because that's what's kind of in our headlines all this week.
Yeah.
The masks are coming off at AMC. AMC is liquidating some of their assets, selling some of their equity, and guess what? They're buying now more stuff. They're
Yeah.
wanting to ensure. Well, we'll get into it.
Let's get into it later.
But
Lots-
we're
lots of
all
stuff.
theater talk this week,
The-
and we're talking about, of course, the box office and the return to some good
Theaters are
numbers.
back. I mean, they're trying to scrape back, and it looks like people are willing to go. So before we get into that, we're going to discuss our review of A Quiet Place 2 and see just why people are so eager to return to theaters.
So
Tom
here is
Cruise.
our. Oh gosh.
He's the reason.
Well, he's true. He's gotten the word out, hadn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there were, when we went to see this movie, several promotions for people urging you to go back to the theaters, which I
True.
found
Yeah,
funny because
let's-
only the
yeah.
people in the theater
Let's
are
talk
going to
about
see
that.
that.
Yeah, let's talk about that after the review.
I was gonna say let's get on to our review. Here is our review of A Quiet Place Part 2.
Memorial Weekend just passed, and everyone has been celebrating the closest to normal we've come so far since the pandemic started. Theaters are open and the box office has spoken. A Quiet Place Part 2 is not only the most seen film this weekend, but the largest opening since the pandemic began, grossing $57 million, almost as much as the $60 million it was projected to do before the pandemic even started. Once again, John Krasinski serves as producer, writer, and director. A Quiet Place Part 2 treats audiences to the beginning of the invasion from the Abbott family's point of view, living in their small town. The film then jumps forward, picking up exactly where the first film left off. Evelyn Abbott, once again played by Emily Blunt, after having killed the creature from the first film, now with her 3 children, Reagan, reprised by Millicent Simmons, Marcus, again played by Noah Jupe, and her newborn child, abandon their now destroyed home to find other survivors and spread the message of how to kill the creatures. When an accident befalls Marcus while the creatures are hunting them down, the Abbotts run into Emmett, played by Cillian Murphy, who had known the Abbotts before the invasion. Emmett is reluctant to help, but soon brings the Abbotts into his shelter where the kids make a discovery that causes Reagan to set out on her own with hopes of saving humanity. A Quiet Place 2 builds upon the first, adding more depth and layers without giving too much away, so as to spoil the mystery and suspense around the creatures. The film never goes too far overboard as many sequels do, remaining grounded and feeling like we never left the first film's world. Krasinski has truly created a film just as good as its predecessor, if not better. Emily Blunt continues to give a powerful performance as the Abbott matriarch and embodies exactly what a strong woman is. Opposite of her this time around is Cillian Murphy, who too delivers a fantastic performance as a man who's lost everything yet rediscovers himself along the way. Both Simmons and Jupe step back into their roles perfectly, as well, with Simmons standing tall amongst heavy hitters like Blunt and Murphy. It's hard to perfect what was nearly perfect, but Krasinski definitely does no worse. Though neither A Quiet Place are perfect, there is a small suspension of disbelief required for both films, as one still wonders how the military never figured out how to defeat the aliens with sound. But despite the still rather large question, the movie served their purpose as well. There's plenty of suspense and solid jump scares, and the creatures are just as imposing as they were in the first, with scenes of the monster slowly preying on the family that would be just as home in a Jurassic Park film. Krasinski knows how to build tension. Krasinski doesn't just give us more of what came before. He continues to build on the world, giving us the beginning of the invasion and offering a new weakness our heroes learn to help combat the creatures. The world gets a little more fleshed out while not killing what made the first so good. Characters show growth while still remaining who they are at heart. The film adds new characters and adversaries while remaining simple yet effective, and maintaining relatability and emotion. The film is just over an hour and a half, but maintains a steady pace, a terrific story, solid scares, and emotion, and gives you characters you can root for. Krasinski has definitely proven himself a capable director, and A Quiet Place Part 2 delivers, earning its high appeal and helping to revive theaters a little more along the way. I give A Quiet Place Part 2 3.5 out of 4 stars.
3.5 out of 4 stars.
I just want to say, it feels really good to
Ooh.
give a movie that high a rating again, because it's been a while.
It has been. It's been a couple weeks, hasn't it? Keith, why don't you divulge?
It's been close to a month, I'd say. Maybe
Yeah.
longer. I'd have to go back and look.
Well, and like you said, a lot of the movies we've been reviewing have also had this kind of
certain air about them in terms of
They've all
being-
been like with it, like horror adjacent. I mean, you've had Spiral, then you had Army of the Dead, which isn't horror, but it's still the zombie theme. You have A Quiet Place, which is more suspense driven, but still, I mean, like I said, you've all had these monster-esque horror vibe films right in a row. So it was nice because this one was actually good.
Right.
Spiral and
True.
Army of the Dead, you know,
Not so
but,
much.
But this one, you're always nervous with the sequel. Especially John Krasinski. I mean, he did great with the first movie, but it's still his first outing as producer, writer, director. So seeing him come back for the sequel and knock it out of the park and make something that's just as good, if not better than the first, it's like, all right. It's like it wasn't a fluke. He has some talent here, at least with this series. It'd be interesting to see if he does something outside of this series in the future. But still, I'm happy to know that we didn't just get a crap sequel that was only made because the first was successful. There's actually heart. The story makes sense, and it furthers everything with the narrative. It opens up the world a little bit more. We get a little bit more details about what's happening with people outside of just the Abbott family.
It builds the lore of the creatures too.
Yes, yeah.
It adds a little bit to that.
No,
without
continue,
breaking anything from the first one.
Yeah,
because a lot of that too, you get stuff tacked on in sequels that are like,
Yes.
oh, now this is going on, but it's like, okay, but in the first movie this happened. That doesn't make sense. This one, all the new info
Nothing
doesn't
has
contradict.
changed
Yeah.
necessarily. It's just that more has been revealed.
Yes.
and it's done in such a way it's very good. It's very believable. It's not like some movies that deal with and you know, I don't think it's a spoiler that these are aliens. Obviously, they're not from this
not at
world.
this
No,
point.
yeah,
At
they
this point,
pretty
they're not.
much
They
yeah.
allude to it in the first one and pretty much confirm it in this one
Yeah.
with not so many words. Yeah.
But yeah, it does it in such a way that it doesn't make you second guess the first movie and the ways that they're trying to get away from or elude the creatures, and then even at the end when it finally shows you a vulnerability, this only capitalizes on that vulnerability and shows another significant vulnerability that just further helps, you know, mankind survive, which is why I think if we do get a third film, which I'm hoping that we will, and based on the way the movie
Ends,
it doesn't really
yeah.
like end to set it up for a sequel, neither did the first one, but
Right.
it ends in such a way that it makes it extremely easy to dive right into another one, and to see people having the ability to fight back a little bit more each time kind of makes me confident that the third one's going to kick ass. And it's kind of funny because I don't feel that way with a movie like Jurassic World.
No.
Where you've got another. I feel like now we've got dinosaurs like going to live, you know, running around.
See,
Same thing they tried to do with
the
Jurassic
Park 2.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah,
World Jurassic World.
Is that what it's called?
No, Jurassic Park 2.
Oh, you're talking about the
where the
actual
T-Rex
second-
is actually
Lost World.
in
Lost
Lost
World.
World.
Okay,
Jurassic World.
okay.
Yeah. So, but I feel like it's like, no, they're not gonna. What are they gonna come up with? They're gonna have to come up with some outrageous way to fight the dinosaurs off and all this stuff. It's not gonna be believable. It's not gonna jive with what we've seen so far. This movie does it so well, and creature features just don't always do that.
Yeah.
And so yes,
No, that's
his
true.
second go around doing the writing and directing and starring in it, and like we were just talking about during the review, not missing a beat. Like this movie was filmed later, but it looks as if they were all filmed together.
Yeah.
And to go back, just looking at the shot of him in the pharmacy,
Yes.
I'm like, they got. I mean, I would be willing to bet you could look at the pill bottles in the first movie, and they'd be in the same freaking spot as they are here.
the attention to detail.
Filming,
yeah.
yes, it's very, very attention to detail. I love it. The town was perfect. It
Yeah.
looks just like the beginning of the first movie.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
that Krasinski's attention to detail is what drew me so much to the sequel, just to see all these little moments and these little things that even if you don't realize they connect, but then later on it kind of reveals it's like, oh, that was really good, like
Yeah.
how he connected things. Just even the way the film was shot, the whole climax at the end,
Yes.
the back and forth, the way the film editing,
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
actually what I was going to bring
cinematography,
up.
both that was just incredible.
Yeah,
I
the-
mean that's
the
definitely an
editing-
attention to detail and a mindset that Krasinski had that
Yeah.
you don't expect Jim from The Office to make that. I mean,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You're not thinking he's going to make this
Well, I
movie.
mean, he's Jack Ryan. I mean, come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
give him
Yeah.
some credit.
But no, I agree. I think the editing for me is what there were two instances of that editing kind of going back and forth to one build tension and in the other to resolve it, but in a very satisfying, successful
Mm-hmm.
way. And I do like how the film ends because, in fact, I read it wasn't a review; it was just somebody mentioning how it kind of ends abruptly, which I don't think is appropriate. I think it concludes, it has a nice resolution,
Yes,
but
yeah.
it definitely doesn't. You know, it's one of those where it sets off to tell a certain story. It tells you exactly all the points of that story, and then it's done. And I love that about it because, again, for it to be a part 2, yeah, easily there could be a part 3, but even if there's not, there's enough conclusion in this one, just like there was in the first, to be
It's
like,
it.
I'm okay with if this is how it ends
Yeah.
and this is all they tell you
Yep.
in this world, then I'm
It's fine.
I'm satisfied.
Yep.
And I think that to do that twice back to back, but in such a fashion that you expand on what the first one does. In, I think you already brought up the point, Sean, of how it evolves and how we kind of grow to see, well, what happens in other parts of the world where this has happened? You know, how do the monsters react differently to certain kind of things? You know, it's like slowly but surely, as you, the audience member, are kind of coming, you know, around to understanding this world, they as the characters are too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at the same time, they're figuring things out. You are too as an audience member. And at the same time, things are being concluded. You feel right along there in the same conclusion and satisfied.
Right.
Um,
Finding out that they, like the first movie, it kind of wraps up with that one, like, you know, showing the instance that at that frequency opens up their ears, if you will, and leaves them vulnerable to a well-placed shot. That's how we fight them. This movie showed not just how to fight them, it shows how to live and survive with
Yes.
them, you know, not just only fighting them, but living on their own. Obviously, we get, you know, to the island scene and things like that. They figured out a way to, you know, get away from them and thrive, and you know,
Yeah.
for a while. But but I think like with another film, we could add on to that and not only show how to fight and how to survive, but how to win. And that's what I really hope that he. I really hope
Expands
that
on?
he expands and at least does one more to show mankind
See,
taking,
I'm
kind
taking
of-
back control.
It's well, I mean, they're already discussing doing A Quiet Place 3 with John Krasinski, but because I discussed with you when I came to record,
Yeah.
Platinum Dunes, who co-owns the film, is kind of wanting to do like kind of their own universe, like The Conjuring has, because they've already pegged the director of Mud
Not okay with this.
to pin a prequel. Like he's doing a prequel, and then John Krasinski, the actual parts like part 1, part 2, part 3 are Krasinski's, but he's going to do like this side movie. It's supposed to be a spin-off. So.
See, and I kind of got.
And that's one of
I'm
those
not
things
gonna
where it's
lie,
like
I kinda
sometimes too
got-
much is too much of a good thing.
Not
Like,
everything has to be a universe or a
yeah,
franchise.
if Krasinski gives us a third, then I'll be happy
I'd be
just
fine.
sticking with
Yep.
those 3.
The
Right,
trilogy would be
right,
nice to tightly wrap it
Yeah.
up. But also, I think, too, with this one, I mean, I'll be honest, I had Last of Us vibes
Yep.
throughout
Yes.
a lot of it. I really am intrigued to see what HBO does with that series.
Yep.
But it's funny to see, like you said,
Hire
Jim from The
Krasinski
Office.
to make it.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously it's already well into production. But I do think that I'm like, man, I was like, he just hit the right notes of that. Of all the things that I felt while I was playing that game, all the emotional connections with the characters, I just thought, man, that I don't need to see a Last of Us show or movie. Like this is
You got the
enough for
Quiet
me.
Place. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you mentioned that, but I mentioned walking out of the theater that I honestly I wish Krasinski had done Jurassic World instead of Colin Trevorrow, because
Yeah.
just the scenes of these creatures like hunting the children gave me the same vibes as the Velociraptors and the kids in the first movie, and I was like, this
Yes.
is so well done with the tension and with the suspense that it's like he could do a Jurassic Park movie and probably knock it out of the park.
Well, I thought another realistic part of the film that I'm glad we talked about it in the parking lot. I'm glad they didn't show a whole lot of the more evil people in the world. I'm glad that there was more of the good people that still existed than the bad, but I really loved how, because I do feel like even with something as insane as these creatures, killing everybody, believe me, evil people will find a way to weaponize that and use that against the good.
Yeah.
And to have that group of kind of marauder people that were actually using the creatures to kill the people that they wanted dead so that they could take their stuff. Like, I thought that was so creative and real. Like, that felt real to me. People would really do that.
Yeah.
If they could find a way to survive but also get these things to do their dirty work for them, they will. and that's just what evil. That's why it still exists.
Well,
'Cause
again,
it's-
I mean,
it's
it's kind of
I
like the
love
food
that.
chain. I mean, you know, you got to adapt or die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways that they adapt. And I agree. I think I know some people may walk away kind of, you know, as if maybe that wasn't enough, you know, expounding on that moment in the film,
Right.
or they didn't go into too much detail. But I actually appreciated that. Because again, we've seen plenty of those movies. We've
Yep.
seen post-apocalyptic movies.
I mean,
where you
it's-
have warring
it's every
factions.
season of The Walking Dead.
Right.
It's like, I know what it
Yeah.
looks like.
Exactly.
Right.
And so to see it in an instance, but also what I loved about it was there was a particular reason and purpose, which was you haven't seen something like that in The Walking Dead where you have to be absolutely silent
Yeah.
and you have to be completely dead quiet while something like this is going to happen, not just for your own sake, but even for the enemy's sake, because if they, you know, make a noise and these things come, now you're screwed too.
Well,
And so
Actually,
I love
technically in The Walking Dead, you're supposed to be quiet because noise will draw the walkers, but they're never quiet. Like it's
well, I was saying, and not
Yeah.
only that, but not to the extent
that's what
that
I'm
you have
saying.
to be
It's
quiet in this.
it's never
Yeah,
well
yeah.
done. Like they're like, we have to be quiet or they'll hear us, and then they're
Then
all
they have a
and
gunfight.
Yeah, then
and-
they're like
Yeah.
shooting each, and no zombies to
No
show up
zombies,
while they're
yeah.
blasting each other to pieces. And I'm
Right.
like, yeah. Whereas in A Quiet Place, Krasinski actually, again, attention to detail.
Yes.
Even just knocking over a small bottle
Yep.
could trigger, you know, you getting attacked. And I'm
Yep.
like, I love that because
I do too. Even breathing.
Yeah.
I just love how, again, that was not lost, and it could have been an easy overlook from the first movie to this one, that, you know, subtle details like that he paid attention to so closely in the first one. A lot of sequels do that. A lot of sequels that make them less than their original are ones that forget about the rules they played by in the first movie.
Yep.
And this one didn't. It expanded upon those, and it just further set them in stone, which is, again, why this deserved the 3.5 stars. Plus, to give credit, I got to say, Neil, I know you'll appreciate this if you have not seen the film and you are listening, that the trailer, believe it or not, thank God, only shows you about the first 10 or 15 minutes of what you see in the film.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
does not
Yes.
spoil any part of this film, which
Everything
is
else
fantastic.
is a
Can I
surprise.
also point out, you mentioned like the trailer only shows the first 10 and 15 minutes of the movie, but the movie itself's only 97 minutes long. It's like an hour and 37 minutes long. And it's way better than Zack Snyder's 2.5 hour long Army of the Dead.
Yes.
So
Again, an instance of less is more.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
It's-
a perfect example
Yep.
of that.
because Krasinski knows how to show, not tell. I mean,
Boom, right there. Ooh, isn't that what movies are for?
well, you have to.
you
When,
know?
when your characters can't talk or they'll be killed, you have to do a lot of showing.
Absolutely. And
You
again,
can't have a half hour of dialogue exposition.
yeah, because literally you'll die, and then the movie's over. Even quicker movie. Alrighty, guys, that's it for our talk on A Quiet Place 2. Absolutely worth a watch and worth your dollars at the box office. If you have a chance,
I like it a lot.
go see it at the theater. Absolutely 100% go support this film. It's fantastic.
Hands, like I mean, it's not even a competition because of all the crap we've reviewed, but I would say it's the best movie I've seen so far in 2021.
Woo!
Well, yeah, there's not much to choose
I mean, let's
from.
just say,
Yeah.
what else
I
are you?
agree.
What
Our
else
backs
are
were
you
up against
really?
the wall last year
what-
too in the same boat.
What
so
else are you really going to compare? I mean, nothing this year has been that good.
Maybe
No.
Cruella?
We got I was getting ready to say we got another one that's gonna compete.
I don't
want
want to say because I don't want to
competed
spoil
at the box
anything.
office
Yes.
this past weekend, which we're
Um,
about to get into.
And we're going to review Cruella next
We're
week.
gonna review
We
it
know a
next
lot of
week.
people have seen it this weekend, and it is a huge family-oriented film, which we haven't had one in a while. So
Well,
Yeah.
see, that was where I think like my wife and I would maybe disagree because we both watched it together and we're like, "There's no way we're gonna let our kids watch this movie."
Really?
wow.
I thought it
Okay.
was very dark.
Oh, it is
for-
dark.
It's a PG-13.
Mhm. It is very
but
dark.
It's very dark, and it's not something
It has.
that I think
I
my
loved
8-year-old's ready
the
for yet.
small, not official review, but I do love the whole punk vibe that the movie,
Oh, yeah,
the punk
yeah.
rock vibe that it
Yes.
has. Like I was not
Yes.
expecting that.
So
but
it
we'll
gives
get into that.
its
It's cool.
production design is.
Oh,
spot
it
on.
is.
Yes.
It is very creative.
Yes.
Well,
I
and like we
was-
said, and again,
very creative.
our official review next week. But and I have not seen the film. I know you
You
two
will.
have.
Yep.
I want to watch it. But I'm looking forward to it more so now. But we've kind of in an offhanded way also admitted that it's been Disney's live action offshoots that have been more
the ones
successful
that
than the
aren't
ones that are
direct
the
adaptations
remakes.
tend to
Like
actually.
yeah.
Aladdin,
that's true.
Lion King, and what
No,
was the
those
other
all
one?
suck.
They were terrible.
Lady and the Tramp,
Lady and the
Dumbo.
Tramp.
Dumbo.
Dumbo was awful.
Let's get ready to Dumbo. I will. I don't
Yeah,
even know
that
how
says
they
it
can.
all.
They cannot live that line down.
Nope.
Like whoever thought that was a good line.
Tim
No.
Burton.
Yeah.
Yep.
God.
And that
all
was
his
that was
fault.
actually the
That was a Zack
that was
Snyder
actually
line
the
right
guy
there.
though. What's his name?
It was the
It was the
was-
real guy
yeah.
from Ready to Rumble.
Oh, I forget his name. The
I got-
popular,
Yeah, it was still him. I thought he was dead.
Yep.
Hmm.
Not Robert Goulet. No.
Robert Goulet?
There's a Boy Meets World episode with that guy
Yes,
and Robert
there
Goulet in
is.
it, and I forget the other guy's name. But maybe, yeah, Keith,
I'm
look
gonna
that up.
Google's it.
But while
Let
you're
me-
looking
let me
that up,
Google it.
we're going to get into our headlines because, yes, it's all about the theaters this week. Let's roll that headline open. I got to make up for the sound that wasn't there at the beginning.
Is that
Michael Buffer.
Michael Buffer?
Mike, that ain't
That's
Michael
his name.
That's him.
Buffer.
That is
Let's
him.
get ready to rumble,
Are
guy.
you
Yep.
his name
Michael
is
Buffer.
maybe that's why nobody said it.
Or
in
maybe
the
it's
show.
Buffer. Maybe I'm.
'Cause
Maybe
it's
it's.
like what kind
hold
of
on,
name
hold on.
is
Does
that?
that make it any better?
Maybe it's Buffer, and I'm
Now
mispronouncing
I'm thinking
it.
of like
oh, that's
Hardee's.
completely different.
Hold on,
Michael
hold on, hold on,
Buford.
hold on. I'm gonna turn my. Let
That's
me
rallies.
let me turn my
Like
volume
the
up
big
real quick.
Buford.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I gotta do it. Let me play it.
Get ready
Oh, it's
to
got to pull up the YouTube
rumble.
app. Can't just play it on
Yeah, no,
Google.
Well, of course not. Now you're probably
Yeah.
gonna have to watch a 15-second ad to even
Yeah.
listen to
Oh,
it.
here goes.
And the millions watching
Millions.
around the world on HBO pay-per-view. Ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay
We're probably gonna
Bay
get
to
fined
Las
for this.
Vegas,
Yeah.
let's get ready to rumble.
If that is Michael Buffer, then
Oh, good stuff. Good
Buffer,
stuff.
Buffer, whatever his
Yeah.
name is,
And
maybe
you know,
we can get him as
you
a guest on
know
the
that
show.
his career has been dead for a while because he was in Dumbo yelling, "Let's get ready to Dumbo."
Right.
That, or he's willing to be like, yeah, I'll take $1 million for that.
Right? I
Who
mean,
wouldn't?
Yeah.
The only other movie besides Dumbo that I've seen him in, like, in the last decade was Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Did he say that?
Yes. Yeah, he does it at
Let's
the...
get ready to Zohan.
he does it at the Hacky Sack Championship
No,
of the
he
world.
doesn't. And he says, let's get ready to
He
rumble.
says, let's get ready to rumble.
Oh, gosh.
That's awesome.
Yep.
You know, I mean, hey, look, if you can make a career,
We
Out
watched
of
that with
saying
Sean. You
one
don't
line.
remember the movie, Brandon?
Remember that?
yeah, I remember
Hacky Sack.
everything about
You play
Zohan.
Hacky Sack.
All I remember
It's an
is
extremely
both of
racist
his
movie.
legs coming up to kick people. Like,
Yes.
That's what I- so terrible.
His sandals. Oh, that's a great movie.
Just like the
Great
Brothers
movie.
Grisby, I try to forget those movies. I just remember him coming out of the ass of an elephant, and I'm just like, what is this movie?
that's Ace Ventura.
That's Ace Ventura,
That's a rhino,
too.
though.
That's a right.
That's true,
Wait,
yeah.
but no, isn't in the Brothers Grisby? He's in there like that.
He gets stuck in like an elephant or what?
a
Like,
butt
because
or
remember the
something.
other? He gets in the
'Cause
the
it
elephant's vagina.
ejaculates.
No.
What in the?
Sorry,
that?
Vices were rolling
he was
early.
in the elephant's vagina because remember the other elephant comes up to like have sex with the
Yes.
elephant while he's in
and
there.
it starts
yeah.
ramming
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
See, and,
And
it
it's like,
ejaculates
okay,
on him.
See,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
We're thinking, I'm
difference.
completely lost. I don't
different
even know
stuff.
what movie
Ace
that is.
Ventura in the fake rhino
The
sticking
Brothers
his head out was
Grisby? That was
hilarious.
kinda
Who
funny.
was in that?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Cohen, yes.
The brothers
We
Grimsey,
rented
where
that
he's
at the
he's
lake.
the hitman. Yeah,
You don't remember this?
we rented it at the lake. It was a terrible movie.
Oh
It was. You were the one that touted it.
I know.
You
but
were like, you gotta watch
That
this.
was a
This
lake
is
movie.
Hilarious.
Brothers Grisby.
I paid $20
Sacha Baron
to rent
Cohen?
that thing.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It was a bad movie.
It was really, really bad.
But it was a lake movie.
yes,
Yeah.
but it was still. We shouldn't have even rented it. We rented it from Salines.
Hey,
I
Michael
vaguely
Buffer was
remember
also in
that.
Rocky 5, so he was another movie. That was the
Right,
bad
yeah,
Rocky
yeah.
though.
It took them all the way to Rocky 5
All
for
right.
them to get him.
He was in Rocky Balboa as well.
Yeah, I know we are. We're going on.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
talk
let's
about the theaters.
Get back
Yeah.
to
Let's talk
AMC.
about movies. Are we in a post-pandemic theater? The masks are coming off, peeps. AMC has done it. They said no more masks unless your state or local government
Tell you
mandate
to.
it.
Dictates.
Dictate.
So
true.
if you've been vaccinated and your state does not require you to wear
sorry.
a mask,
I didn't clarify.
Yeah, you have
that.
to have been
didn't
vaccinated.
clarify that.
But they said that they're not like checking cards or anything. So it's again honor system.
honor code.
So just walk on in there. Nobody knows. No one cares.
So
COVID's over.
I was gonna say,
They
does
can't
that mean
legally
it's
ask
over?
you.
Does it? Is that it? I mean, AMC's the biggest theater chain in America. Is it over? Is it done?
In Kentucky.
on June 11th.
on June 11th.
Well, I
Or-
mean,
or as of last
we
week
went and
when I went and
saw-
saw A Quiet Place
yeah,
too.
exactly. When we went
I didn't
and
have a
saw
mask
that,
on. Yeah,
there was none of this announcement. They were still saying you had to have a mask no matter what.
They didn't care.
And nobody said a word to us about it.
Yeah, Brandon got a win. He went in. Nobody cared he didn't have a mask on. No one cared I didn't have.
Fought
There was
the good
several.
fight.
There were
Yeah.
several people in there
They
without
probably
masks
knew he
on.
had a gun.
Mm,
I was packing.
mm.
I was concealed
Mm.
carry, but
They were like, yeah,
obviously
let's not go
that's
say anything to those guys.
that's more so because again, you
'Cause
never
you don't
know
want a
when the
mere mask.
crazy lunatics are going to come in there and shoot up the theater.
Mm.
Yeah.
Quiet place,
Dark
I'll make
Knight.
it loud.
Another
It's
Dark
like-
Knight scenario.
Sad but true.
Ugh.
It is. It's like I'm not going to be slaughtered. I'm not.
No,
I refuse.
You're not safe anywhere.
No, you're
anymore.
not. And you got to be protected. And I was protecting myself.
And
I,
us.
You know, yeah,
You
and
could've
you
saved
all.
our lives.
That's right.
Mm.
If
I
I, got to
mean-
be the hero,
So what you're saying is, if somebody breaks in and starts shooting, get behind Brandon because he has the gun. We'll use him as a shield.
Yeah.
Okay.
and
Thank you,
here's-
thank you, Brandon.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Because the only other way I could have been a hero was to wear a mask and save you from COVID.
I'm pretty sure a bullet will go through that mask.
Who knows? Masks we've known for a year now can save a lot.
But if I'm behind you, it may not go through you.
Okay.
That's true. But anyways, talking about the post-pandemic theater that we're in now, because we've also talked about this since Godzilla v. Kong came out about how the numbers have risen. Numbers continue to beat expectations.
Not true.
Now,
Spiral didn't.
well, there's a reason for that. And if you need a better reason, just
Yeah.
go check out our show where
It's
we
like
review.
every major release was the next biggest until Spiral. Then it was like, oh,
spiraled down
we went
the
down.
Well, and I
It
think that's
spiraled down.
my question, because when you told me yesterday after recording, you said it's the highest grossing film now, Quiet Place 2.
They consider it the highest grossing
Post-pandemic.
pandemic film.
or pandemic film.
Right,
That's-
highest opening, not grossing because it's still going, but highest grossing opening in regards to pandemic. Cruella came in right behind it, number 2. They actually, because part of the biggest topic with that was the fact that they actually believe that Cruella might have come out at number 1 had it not been streaming and in theaters. They said that domestically, most people in America went and saw it in theaters. They didn't want to pay the $30 Disney Plus tag, so they went to theaters. But overseas, more people stayed at home and streamed it than went to theaters.
They're the
So-
culprits.
So they think had it not been on streaming and you had to go to theaters to see it, it possibly would have beaten A Quiet Place 2 and been number 1. So here's the thing.
But is that
Are straight to streaming killing theater box office? then?
and that
We don't know.
I'd have to see the numbers though, as far as sales go,
Yeah.
because that's the other thing is if you have 4 or 5 people at home watching one release,
Yeah.
and you're only paying $30, obviously it's a better deal
Yeah.
to just watch it at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even then, I still have to take into consideration if you average that out, how many more people watched Cruella, because it's far, far lower in terms of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we talked about that with I think it was
it came-
Godzilla v Kong or
Yes.
was it another movie where it was like it only made 8 million in streaming?
Yeah.
Even though it released on HBO
Yeah.
Max and in theaters at the same
Simultaneous,
time.
Godzilla. Well, that's the same thing domestically for Cruella. They said they made way more in theaters than they did off streaming. It's just reversed overseas. But it only came in around 27 million theatrically,
Which is
anyways.
drastically
which is
lower.
30 million lower than A Quiet Place 2. So I don't know that it would have beat them, despite what other people think. That they're
mean,
saying
let
maybe.
me just put it this
we
way.
don't
The
know.
thing, if they admit to that, or if that becomes their findings, and they find out that if had it not been for streaming,
We would have
with
made more
theaters
money.
being back open, we would have made more money. Do you think that will kill the simultaneous release in the future?
No doubt.
If
Oh, yeah.
theaters come back alive full force,
If they realize they can make way more profit going back to
Yeah.
theaters and streaming, I think they will. I mean, we already see Warner Brothers who's considering it with Dune because they're
see,
afraid
but that's the
they'll make
weird
less
part
money.
about this is we've seen Warner Brothers actually not benefit from the same release day as theaters. They've
Yeah.
actually not made a majority of their money on so in that case it was like, well, why not do both, because it's not making us any extra money and we're actually not losing a large part of our income from the movie or the revenue.
I forgot that I turned it up for the Ready to Rumble.
I
was like, oh,
I haven't
speaker
heard it this
going.
whole time. I haven't.
I just now
Oh,
switched
caught
over
it.
to the video feed and
I
it made
gotcha.
noise. Yeah.
But it's funny because I really do think it's interesting that the argument for me that I think is going to be more interesting is with Disney, like you said, admitting that if they're getting better turnout in
Disney
theaters,
hasn't admitted it yet, but
Well,
other
they-
analysts are saying we think Disney might have made more had it not been in streaming.
and that's
Yeah.
the bigger
Yeah.
question: is do they have the IP that more people are willing, or that would go see it in theaters regardless of whether or not it releases. Meaning, if their properties are in higher demand on streaming services, and people pay the $30 price tag, or they go to the theater and pay $50 because they're taking their whole family with them, then yeah, it makes more sense. But if people who have HBO Max are not going to go to see Godzilla v Kong, they're going to watch it at home. But we turned out that wasn't true. More people wanted to go to the theater and see it.
That's exactly like the thing. That's a good point. Is that maybe a family of 5 paid that $30 to watch it at home because it would have been cheaper than paying $10 a ticket for each person. That'd be $50 as opposed to $30. So there's no guarantee that just because if they said it's not available in streaming, you have to go in theaters. That family of 5 may say, well, we'll wait till it comes out at home because we don't want to spend $50.
Or little Jimmy starts kicking and screaming in the background, and you're like, all right, we're going tonight. Let's go see it.
Possibly.
Just to shut up little Jimmy.
Maybe. It depends.
I'm just saying.
Well, you don't know either way. I mean, it
Jimmy's
could
a
go
little-
either way.
He's a little brat.
He is.
Little Jimmy gets beaten, sent to his room, and he doesn't get to see any
right.
movie.
But when Mama and Daddy have been up all 4 nights of the week, and little Jimmy is kicking and screaming on Friday night, and they just want some peace and quiet, and they're like, well, let's go to the theater to give them peace and quiet.
I'd call
and that's-
Grandma and get them to watch Little
Yeah.
Jimmy, and then I go see something I want to see
That's
with
fine
my
too.
wife.
And you save even more money because then you're only buying 2 tickets.
right.
But Grandma left her dentures out, and now they're dry, and she's got to go.
Well,
and
then
get some
Grandma's
more-
just going to have to deal with it. She agreed to watch them.
Little Jimmy's got him, and he's going like clicking around the house trying to bite her in the butt with her own teeth.
I would love to see the studies that Disney has, because that
Yeah.
they obviously have a whole department at Disney that
Little
truly,
Jimmy
I
department.
guarantee
they do. They got a little
Yeah.
Jimmy Brett department that's researching this.
Yeah.
And what's more interesting is that we know, based on what Disney has said throughout the pandemic, this just sped up their whole entire streaming initiative.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, but they're not getting the results that they were hoping for because more people are tuning into the streaming, but the revenue streams aren't the same, they see these theater exclusive movies come out and they're making the millions that they were expected to make before the pandemic hit. Is Disney going to reverse their mentality, or they're going to reverse their ideology and say, no, we need to go back to theater
They're
only?
going to go where the money is.
Yeah.
That's-
You're right.
I think Disney's going to go. I mean, right now they have been very vocally committed to streaming, and that is what Disney wants to do right now. But again, if they find that this won't be as profitable, as going to theaters, then they may reverse course. But only time will tell, because we really don't know what the numbers are right now.
Yeah.
And that's that. Yeah, exactly. And we'll know that, I think, as again, the masks are coming off. We're in a ever more closely approaching
Normality.
post-pandemic world, normal
I
world.
think we really won't know until you get back to 100% seating.
Yep.
Because right now theaters are still at 50% capacity.
Well, and what was it? They were
So-
saying L.A. is one of the one cities. I think their mask mandate is not up until July.
Yeah.
Which is
They
ridiculous.
still have a mask mandate.
know about New York.
Still 50% capacity. I mean, and think about that. A Quiet Place 2 made $57 million off of 50% capacity.
in these major cities.
Only in theaters. So I mean, and that's close to. I mean, it would have. I guarantee it would have wiped out its 60 million projection if
No
there was
doubt.
100% seating capacity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to look at. Is like right now they're saying, well, these are still pandemic numbers. It's like, when does pandemic numbers end? I would argue when there's 100%
Right.
seating, then
And I think you're right.
we have a better
Yeah.
idea.
I think the moment that
when.
you start anticipating, or the moment the mask mandate is lifted completely and there's 100% capacity available and they're not skipping every other seat, because even AMC said they're still adhering to that rule,
Right,
where
yeah.
when you come as a group, you get the seats together. But the
Together.
seats
But the
around
ones
you will
around
be
you,
blocked
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And so even with 100% capacity and that rule is wiped out, or they no longer, institute it, well, then that's
Yep.
going to be, I think, when we start counting these as, okay, we should see higher than, I think you're going to maybe see a higher than average number early on because people are antsy and they want to get back to those norms. But then I think depending on the slate of movies that come out, and we've had a whole slate put on pause for a year, depending on what's coming out, I think you're going to
rest
see
of the year's
very...
Yeah.
True. We've
Yeah.
got huge releases
a lot
still
of
yet
good
to
stuff
come.
coming out.
Ca-
towards
catching up for the
towards the end of the
last 2
year.
years.
Yeah.
Everything from last year and this year is
pretty much from like September on is
Yeah.
going to be a lot of big
I'd say from
releases,
like July
so.
on.
I would
honestly,
say Black
yeah.
Widow.
When's Ghostbusters?
August still.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
They were
August.
gonna. There was
It's
talk of
summer,
it being
okay.
pushed back, but it's still August.
Yeah,
Okay.
Black Widow in July, Ghostbusters in August.
No Time to Die.
Yeah, there's a lot of huge
Top
releases.
Gun.
Yep.
We're already seeing
Amazon's
even
No Time to
Oh,
Die.
yeah.
all of
Yeah.
Marvel's.
I mean, yeah, Marvel has 4 films coming
Yeah.
out. So
the Eternals.
and even at 50% capacity right now, I mean, A Quiet Place 2 shows a willingness for people to go back to theaters, and that's what Hollywood's banking on. In fact, I mean, we mentioned it, and I mean, I guess right now isn't a bad time to discuss it. How when we went to see A Quiet Place 2, right before the movie, John Krasinski comes on as director,
Yeah.
thanking us for coming back to theaters and urging people to continue going to theaters. Which, I mean, and there was a few ads even before him of Hollywood celebrities saying, go to theaters, which I kind of find funny because the only people seeing those ads are the ones that are already going to the
in
theater.
the theater, yeah.
Right.
Well, we've talked about St.
None of
Cruz.
us are gonna call our friends and be like, dude, if you go see this, John Krasinski's gonna thank you.
Yeah.
Like you need to go.
It's like I only went because John Krasinski personally
Right.
thanked me. at
I
the beginning of
appreciate it
Quiet
though.
Place
I mean, I
think it
do.
takes
I
us
mean,
back
yeah.
to kind of the old days when
Yeah.
film directors and producers used to announce their movies.
I
and
would
stuff
care
like that. I like it.
if I didn't already care so less. I don't think I could care any less about the celebrities or Hollywood in general, which is sad. I appreciate the art that they make more so for the people behind the scenes, and yeah, the talent that there are in those higher up positions to some degree with the likes of A Quiet Place 2. But no, I don't think that the Tom Cruises or those who are just short on a paycheck, who are looking to make
Yeah.
more bank because they need your butt in the seat, or
Well,
because so much of their
and again,
salary is tied
I think
to
I appreciate a
how
little bit-
well the theater release
Yeah.
does. But I'm just I don't know. The grandstanding of Hollywood in general, it's like if you haven't spent the last decade telling us what social causes to care about and throwing that in our face every 5 seconds, maybe I would be a little bit more pertinent to think, oh, wow, no, you really want us to get back to normal and live our best life.
I kind of
by getting
agree,
back to the
depending on
theater.
who it is. Like,
That-
I
that's
appreciate
what
a
I
little
was
bit
getting
more
ready to
from
say.
because
Yeah, just go
Krasinski.
ahead.
Because
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I just
We were
feel
fighting
like
for
he's
it.
a little bit more
We were
humble.
we're both like,
I love Krasinski.
Now that was
No,
shot. I mean, if it was
again,
Chris Pratt,
if it was Chris Pratt, I would have. Yeah, never mind.
because you would have known he meant
can't
it.
even say what
You
I
would
would've
know.
done.
Did you see his Memorial Day post?
It was
yes.
good. It was
Oh,
really
yeah.
good.
Dude, that's why
Oh,
I love
yeah.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
I'm
Telling
telling
you.
you.
It's like if he had come out on that theater screen and thanked me, I would have been like, yes, damn right.
Yeah, America.
No, but yes, John Krasinski's not one of those people who's been tweeting out a bunch of bullcrap garbage for the last several months or a year while all of
He
this
keeps
is
to
going
himself
on.
mostly,
He
yeah.
is. He's very
does.
private. I mean, whatever his views are, whether politically or whatever his beliefs, I don't really care because he does. He kind of minds his own business. And that's the kind of person that I appreciate when he's on my screen
Well-
saying, hey, thanks for coming to see my movie. I appreciate it. I worked hard on it, and so did everybody else. So thanks for putting your butt in the seat. If it was Tom Cruise up there, I would have just been like,
He would have been
I wouldn't
telling
have
us
cared.
with a mask on, first
Yeah.
off, and would have been like,
I really appreciate it.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what would have happened.
exactly.
But no, well, and speaking of,
if you don't come
Do
see
you-
my
do-
movie, I can't afford another jet plane.
I'm down to my last $100 million.
dude, if it was Johnny Depp, we know that's true.
Oh, God.
It's like I just keep getting beat by Amber Heard.
Yeah.
And I just need as much money as
Yeah,
possible.
I got to pay the
'cause,
court costs.
And the funny
you know,
thing is,
otherwise
he,
I'm gonna have to make another
he'd
Pirates
say
movie.
it all with a British accent, and he's not freaking British, but he speaks with a British accent. Every interview he does, he speaks with a freaking British accent. He's not British.
But here's the thing:
he's
do
from
we-
Kentucky.
Do we think this is a ploy by theaters as well to reach out to Hollywood, or do we think it's kind of a conjunction like between both?
It's probably both.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even the humble celebrities still want us to spend money on their movies.
Well,
they
the
gotta make
reason-
money, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
that's-
but the reason I bring this up is because AMC is looking to sell some of their equity so that they could reinvest into the theater
That's a
experience.
trigger word.
wow.
Not when it's used in that regard, though.
No.
I say when we're talking about equity of assets, you know, not in terms of social norms.
All right.
Please
all right.
continue. Please
I
continue.
was gonna say, but no, do we think that AMC? I mean, because for one, now that we've been back twice, you know, in normal conditions, so to speak, we noticed and we talked about it to a great extent last summer when we went and saw Tenet, how piss poor the theater going experience was regarding AMC theaters. We subscribe to Stubbs A-List. We by far talk about how it is the best value out there as far as subscription services.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen, as far as customer service and as far as actual theater cleanliness, it's taken a nosedive.
Yeah.
It was already kind of not in great shape pre-pandemic, but the pandemic has really just, I think, exacerbated it. And I think it's funny that they're looking at putting more cinemas or buying up more cinemas or leasing more cinemas.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking to expand, in terms of, I hope, put more money back into the theaters and actually.
That's where I have, because a lot of what they're talking about is using that money to purchase or lease more theaters, which is fine. Like they sold assets so they could put more money back into the business and give theater goers a better experience, is what they're saying. But I'm like, what I feel is, okay, you want to buy up more theaters, that's fine, but I would prefer that before you do, you use that money to fix the damn theaters you have.
Yes.
Which hopefully, I mean, they did mention doing that with some of the money, and hopefully they are true to that word, because AMC Stony Brook really needs some money to fix their broken seats, their terrible sound, the fact that they don't even clean because the floors and cup holders are sticky as soon as you walk in there.
They are.
So I'm just like, can we get some money to,
Like Dixie Dozen.
Well, that's what's sad is the Stony Brook Theater used to be the best theater in Louisville. It was. I mean, that was the high end theater, and now honestly, the Cinemark on Preston is way better.
And again,
in
the
terms
last
of
time-
quality
no,
and care,
no,
not
but
so much.
Well, I was
in
gonna
the
say the
building
last
yet.
time we were there, they were doing major renovations.
They put an XD theater in the one at Preston. They now have reclining and heated seats. They're clean. Like, I've never been in when they've been trashed. So I'm just like, what are you going to do, AMC?
Yeah.
Well,
'cause
obviously,
if Cinemark, is that a Cinemark?
The one on Preston is a
Yeah.
Cinemark
So
now.
if they offered
Rave
something,
Cinemas,
is
isn't
it
it?
Rave?
No, Cinemark
Cinemark-
bought Rave.
Oh, okay.
They're just, it
okay.
used to
Yeah.
be Rave years ago. It's been Cinemark before they built the Cinemark
What
St.
was it before
Matthews.
Rave?
Showcase.
That's
Yeah.
what it was.
It was
Yeah, that was
Showcase
a long
Rave,
time
then
ago.
Cinemark
That's right,
bought them.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I mean, if they
Um,
offered something similar in price and in
To AMC Stubbs,
yeah,
yeah.
as to that, then
Oh, I'd
you
hop
know, that's-
over.
Yeah, hop right
Well,
over.
and that's kind of my my ultimate issue is, I've gotten, the deal with AMC Stubbs A-List. I can see 3 movies a week. I mean, hell, we've talked about it on here. Even just going to see an IMAX movie once a month pays for it.
Yeah.
Because it's $20 a month.
Well, and again, I mean, IMAX is better than I would argue than XD, but it's still kind of one of those like hard to notice. Like, it's like you're not going to get a whole lot of different, like, especially films that aren't
Right.
specifically
Well,
shot
and
with
know-
an IMAX camera
yeah.
on an IMAX screen and an XD screen are going to be pretty much the same.
right.
And Cinemark now offers, like, every Cinemark theater in Louisville now has an XD screen because they put one in at Preston. So no matter where you go, you can get an XD large screening.
Which is
There's
interesting
only one
because
IMAX theater
I was gonna
in
say,
all
you know
Louisville,
that
yeah.
part of it you're paying for the IMAX name.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a brand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you are paying for that. And I would have no problem in supporting it and saying that it is the better premium experience.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, okay, if my Stubbs A-List is now we've had it to where we go and there's a separate line. They still
I
have
don't
it.
even get to save on concessions as much as I used to because they doubled the prices.
Well, of course, and we'll talk about that too, because it's like not only do they double the prices, but they don't have the people working behind the stands.
They've
that-
never had that. You could stand in the damn
That's
Stubbs
true.
line and they'll
They
check
take
out
the-
everybody.
They take the general. I don't want to say general public. Like I'm
No,
a
it
VIP.
is.
the
I mean,
non-members.
I am paying to be pushed to the front of the line.
Yes.
Or have our own separate line that gets waited on.
Well,
in
they
a
have
timely
it outlined
manner.
in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
you're supposed
and
to
you
get
can
in this
stand there and
line
wait
and you get
and-
served first
yeah.
because you're a member. And instead, they never have anybody at that register. They only have one at the normal register. Instead of taking you first like they should, they're like, let's go through the entire normal line. Oh, you're a stub member who pays $20 a month. Sorry you went last.
And it used
Yeah.
to be that they would pull a person from the normal registers and come down there specifically to the register and wait till all the A-list people were served till they would go back to another register. And it was like, okay, that at least lets me know that you're taking priority for these members who pay for it. But now it's like, no, you kind of get ushered in one after the other, and they take you in between regular patrons.
think
and I'm
what
sorry, but that's
happens-
not what I'm paying for.
Yeah, I think what happens is when there's not management there.
Yeah, they're just
the
short-staffed.
people the people at the registers are afraid of making the other customers mad. But it's like, I'm sorry, that's why we pay a membership fee.
Right.
If they get angry about it, tell them, well, if you pay for a $20 membership, you can be served first as well.
So I'm
And
sorry.
In fact, that's how you promote your membership.
I know
right?
that the pandemic has rocked the theater world absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But we even talked about it at great lengths
Rocked.
last summer about how AMC was definitely, we even thought part of it was just them playing the game of the headlines to try to get more investor talk or more investments into the business, because every other week it was, are they going to go bankrupt? Are they bellying up?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, they got $200 million
Anonymous
on
investment.
hand.
Anonymous
You're
investment.
right.
That's what I
Yeah,
feel is
like over and over
hilarious.
again.
Is throughout the entire pandemic, AMC was right on the verge of going bankrupt and dying forever. And now here they are getting all this. Like, I mean, I know they sold assets to get the money, but now it's
Right.
like now we're
Yeah.
building up bigger and better. And it's like I thought you were going bankrupt
With
a week ago.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
with
it's
what
like,
money?
how all of a sudden did, after a year of almost being on the verge, you now having the ability to buy
I
more
feel
theaters
like they-
and reinvest in the business?
They greatly over exaggerated how
Oh,
dire
yeah.
the
no doubt.
situation
Yeah.
it was.
No
just to get
doubt.
We all
money.
talked about
Yeah.
that. We all called that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's just disappointing because it's like, I'm happy for them to expand, but only in so much as they improve upon what they already have. I don't give two shits about what else they want to freaking buy
Oh,
or.
your dog just licked at me and I didn't know she was there.
Well,
That's weird.
she heard me say the S word and she thought,
Yeah,
oh,
potty mouth,
I go
potty
lick
mouth.
that. She sniffs it
I
out.
thought
every
maybe
month.
that's just she's so used to you calling her a little shit that maybe
Wow.
she's like,
You
oh,
know,
that's my
that
name.
too. That too.
She
And
came
just-
running.
and now she's licking my arm.
Uh.
But no, I am willing to pay the Stubbs A-list membership to continue to get my free movies. I
Now
would
that you
just
don't have to
like
wear a
But are you
mask.
willing to pay twice the price for your food?
no. And at the end of the day, that's where I'm gonna say, like, if this continues and the prices stay doubled, the theaters are not cleaned, they don't increase their. And now here's the thing: I'm not willing to just pour on all the bad crap to them right off the bat, because I know in some cases and a lot of businesses are hurting over the fact that some people don't want to get jobs because they're still on unemployment.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And
Get
it's
more-
like
paid
they may
more
not be
stay
able to
home.
hire people
I
right now because
do
people
wanna
don't want to work.
Point out
which
though,
is sad.
because I discovered this because I was looking at other like options for like AMC. Like there is nothing that compares to AMC Stubbs, but I was looking into it to see what other things that theaters offer, just so,
Right.
like if I wanted an abandoned ship. Cinemark doesn't offer anything close, but I did notice while looking at their website to check that they did discount all their concessions to get people to come back to theaters. They say on their thing, if you
Wow.
come back to our theater, I think it's like a 30% discount on their concessions. It's like, AMC did a 50% hike. Cinemark did a 30% discount.
Right. Well, I mean that 50% hike is what's paying for them to rebuild
their-
and
Yeah.
buy new assets.
Yeah. Well, no. It's what's keeping them equal to what they were a year ago,
Right.
while in
Yeah.
turn also taking this money and not really reinvesting, but hoping that people are willing to eat the cost in their own pocket so they don't have to.
Yep.
And
Hey,
right
I can
now,
bring my own popcorn
well,
right.
I was gonna
You
say,
paid. I just want to point out. You paid $10
for that.
for a large popcorn.
Yeah, for a large popcorn.
But I mean, the large popcorn is supposed to cost the same price as the regular
regular.
popcorn with your Stubbs membership.
Yep. So actually, the $9.11 charge was for a regular popcorn. I don't even know what the large popcorn
ooh,
cost.
dang,
Yeah,
holy crap!
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You spent what 20 something?
I don't even want to talk
on
about
nachos.
It was
and
nachos
a
and
drink?
and junior mints and,
And a
a
drink.
medium
and a
coke.
drink.
And I
And
didn't
I-
even up it. I
and
didn't
I-
up it. I didn't want to carry
Right.
it, so I didn't up it to a large.
I bought a 20-ounce bottle of Mountain Dew and a box of Raisinets for $2.20
Yep.
at
I brought
The
a
dollar store.
20-ounce cherry Coke from home
Yeah.
because I do the 4 packs for $10 from Kroger.
yeah.
A $1 box of Mike and Ike's and the popcorn I popped at home. So I spent, divided out, it's probably around
Yeah,
$3
you
total.
brought your own pop.
I
That's
did
hardcore.
in a baggie.
and you spilled it like 8
I
times.
did.
You
I
did.
did.
It
It was
wasn't in
okay. It was okay though because I didn't pay for it.
That's right.
You should have just asked them for a popcorn
I mean, at
bag.
$10, you better be on all fours,
Yeah.
lapping up
I-
every piece of
I
it.
brought in
Hell
popcorn
yes.
in a baggie with my Mike and Ike's and a Coke. I
Yeah.
smuggled it all in.
But
But I
no
mean, hey,
lie,
that's what most people are going to do.
Well,
with
you're gonna have
prices
to.
like that.
You're gonna have
So
to.
they're-
$10 for
yeah, they're going to
popcorn.
kill their own concession sales by raising the price that way. That's what people are going to start doing is sneaking crap in.
well, and they're going to
I
pretend
mean,
like
people
they
already
haven't done
do,
that.
but they're
I
going to
know.
keep going with
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just
But-
going to
but
start
if it's-
bringing cheeseburgers.
But if
and
it's
stuff.
done, well, and that's the thing. If it's
Challenge accepted.
I-
Next
I
time we
have-
go, we're
Maggie.
going to
I
McDonald's
straight up-
first, and we're bringing.
I've seen somebody carry in a McChicken and fry
I will.
in their
Nice.
pocket.
I can put a McDouble in my pocket.
I can-
Absolutely.
yeah. I'm gonna be sitting there eating McDonald's, watching whatever the next, not Cruella, because
Yeah.
we already
But
seen
no,
that one.
I'm dead serious. I think the problem is they're counting on, this is just for the time being. But I think that the more people catch on to
Once
it,
they
and do
raise
it,
their price, they're not
they're
going
not gonna
yeah,
lower
once
it.
you you're not lowering your concessions back down.
and I'm sorry, but the more you keep them there, they're dwindling the amount of people who are honestly going to pay that price for a product that they can go and get for $2 and carry in and sneak in. And more people are going to do that, and rightfully so. Screw them. If they want to reinvest in their business, this is the best way to do it. Do what Cinemark's doing. Cut your prices. Welcome people back. Reinvest in the theaters you
Give
already
people a
own.
reason to come back in.
Exactly. And maybe that will change when they reach 100% capacity.
Well, I'm sure
Who
Cinemark's not going to
knows?
keep their concession stand prices down. They said this is just because they admitted like we're discounting prices temporarily, to welcome guests back. So of course they're going to go back to normal eventually, but at least they're doing something.
I
to bring
think it's
people
just
back.
because AMC's the big boy on the block,
Yeah.
and they're thinking that they have enough patrons that walk through the door every day. They can eat the cost of either what
They
they're
think
losing,
they're bulletproof.
or they're know enough people are going to pay that price at the concession either way,
Yeah.
and they'll make up for the losses of the normal people who say that's ridiculous for the people who just like me will eat it regardless.
Quit.
She all about it over
Yeah,
there.
she's killing me.
Edie,
Quit.
come here.
Now I'm just thinking,
Come
I'm
here,
gonna
girl.
cook
Come
me
here, puppy.
a Kentucky Legends hot dog at home and bring it into the. So just start sticking everything in.
Awesome if you just brought a freaking plate and a knife and ate a steak in your
Dude,
lap.
if you bring in steak and mashed potatoes,
oh my god! You know the people behind you are gonna be like, hey,
Dude.
man, when they get steak and potatoes up in here?
it's like, man, you can order that at the bar. I'm gonna tell somebody
It's
that.
gonna turn into an
Yeah.
addiction. I'm gonna be like, what else can I
They'll go
sneak
out there
into the
and-
theater?
They'll go out there and be like, where do I get a steak and potatoes? They're gonna laugh.
Like, dude's in there eating a steak and potatoes. He said I could get it for $40 out here.
40 bucks.
I'm gonna have like a filet mignon with
Yeah.
a glass of wine and everything all
Yeah.
set
Hey,
up.
I'll raise you. Get real bold. Get real bold and bring in some beer. Bring in
Well,
your
they
own
sell
beer.
alcohol there.
That's what I'm saying. Bring in your
I
own
can
beer.
do that. That's no difference than bringing in a Coke.
I think your dog's got a tick. Sorry.
Like
Like
She was
like
running
the
around
bug
in the-
tick
yeah,
or
I think I
a
feel a
mental
tick.
tick.
No, I think I feel a tick on her.
I gotta
They're
get that.
they're really bad this
We'll
year.
get it after
You gotta
the
watch
show.
that.
We're gonna have to get the tweezers out.
Yeah.
She's definitely got a tick under the table
It's,
right
under,
now.
it's like under her jaw.
Ooh, it could be a mole too, but
I don't know.
we'll check it. Okay, we got to get surgery on my dog after the show.
Surgery.
Gonna cut her open. Alrighty, guys, let's move on. Yes, to our vices segment. Let's move right into it.
I was going to hit a button, but I looked at them and I'm like, no.
There's nothing on here.
We've
new.
used them all.
I don't
It's not
care. The whole
relatable,
point is
you
that
know.
we use them, people get to know them, and they want to hear them when they're used properly.
But yeah, that's exactly. I didn't have
Yeah.
like there was nothing I could use right
Okay.
there.
Yahoo.
There's not enough.
That's it.
Mm.
We're always happy.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore.
I want new buttons.
I think that. All right, fine. You all give me a list.
I just at least want.
I'm the one that's got to make it.
I really just want Jake Lloyd on there.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the
Fill up
that's
every-
the one we've been talking
It's
about from the
working.
I
beginning.
swear,
Beginning.
I'm gonna put it on there, and a year from now, you're gonna be like, "Well, this is old. I
I'm
don't
gonna use
wanna
that one
this
every day.
anymore."
You're
I
gonna
know.
hate me. You're gonna be like, stop putting that button.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's working.
I hate you.
Every time you get one of the openings right, and there's no like hiccup.
It's
We're hitting that
working.
Exactly.
I hate y'all.
All right.
All right.
What's our vices?
Our vices topic this week is simply
It's working.
piracy.
Oh.
Do we all do it?
Mm.
It's a little vague, but we're going to dive into the fact that yes, we all pirate. And what do we pirate?
Mm.
Let's talk about
was
it.
it piracy specifically, or just kind of like that kind? Well, I mean, I guess what I did is still piracy. It's just not ripping a torrent. This started. I'll share this story because what's Netflix going to do to me now? I don't even pay for it.
Right. They're cracking down on that too.
I know, but I mean, it started because I mentioned having a scratch disc on like I have the Angel DVD collector set. I had a scratch disc, and I was in high school and didn't care, so that was still the disc-based Netflix, and like the disc wouldn't work, so I ordered the disc I needed off Netflix and gave them my messed up one and kept the good one from Netflix and put it in my collection, and I still have it at my house somewhere.
Explain
yeah,
this to
so
our younger
that is
audience.
that is
though.
theft.
At one point, Netflix
yeah,
actually sent
they-
DVDs through the mail.
What?
Yeah.
And the United States Postal Service
no.
delivered them in your
So
mailbox.
now if Netflix ever sees this
How
and the
old were
FBI
you,
comes
like
knocking on my
2?
door, they're gonna be
Yeah.
like, "We heard you admit to theft on the podcast. I apologize. I will pay whatever the disc cost, which is probably $10, but they'll charge me $50 for it."
No, they'll
Well,
probably
yeah,
charge you
less than 10.
10,000. That FBI warning.
That's true.
Stipulates.
That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't copy that disc. I just gave them one for another. It was a trade of
for tat.
equal or lesser value.
Yeah.
I pulled a GameStop.
Yeah. No, it'll cost you $50 now because
Uh,
they're gonna have to actually print a DVD.
Yeah.
Because nobody makes DVDs
Yeah.
anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, they're gonna be like,
We have to get that.
I
out
actually,
of,
I'm
out
kind
of
of
storage.
I thought it was quite conniving and actually kind of, very.
I mean, high school me had I was a good child, but I did some things that aren't
Devious.
yeah.
So devious.
Most people are thinking that's the worst you've done. Yes, that's the worst I've done.
See,
That's not the worst you've done. I know. I was there.
Yeah. I mean,
Neil
the
was
worst
there.
the worst I've done involves a potato gun, but I wasn't sharing that story on
Yeah,
here.
yeah. well,
We're
that's-
talking about piracy.
We're talking about
Okay,
piracy.
we're not talking about
Yeah.
anything else.
We're not talking about.
We're only implicating ourselves on one thing here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Not on
Yeah.
all these others.
Listen, I'll have to answer to God for the potato gun.
That's right.
I have to answer for the piracy too, but
God's just gonna say that was great. That was fun. That's all he's gonna
gonna
I
say.
don't
They
know about the
deserve
potato
it.
gun.
They deserved it.
But
Okay.
we've talked often about the screeners that we receive because who wants
Those
to pay
are 100% legitimate.
100%?
100%.
All I'm saying is, who wants to pay $30 to Disney to watch something on a streaming service I already pay a subscription fee for when it's already on the internet for me to access in other ways?
For free.
Again, because we are a legitimate
could
production company and they give us their services.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
all. That's
They
it.
want us to review their movies.
Yep.
That's all.
There are designated websites that we can go to that offer them up to people with podcasts like this,
But here's
so that
the
we can
thing.
review them.
I'm not going to because there's other things I want to see. But in the case of something like Cruella, okay, for instance, I am going to see A Quiet Place 2 again because I'm going with someone who wants to see it who hasn't seen it.
Mhm.
Now, if Cruella wasn't available on streaming and it was only in theaters and I liked it, or even if this person just didn't want to, they wanted to actually see it in theaters, I would be willing to see it again and pay money to see it because I
Having
know it's
seen
good.
It
Yes,
already.
because
yes.
initially, knowing Disney's track record, I'd be like, I don't want to pay money to see that. It might be garbage. Now that I know it's good, it's like, yeah, if somebody said,
Yeah.
hey, do you want to see this in theaters? I'd be willing to go.
30
But
bucks
you
is
can't
a
use
lot
that argument
to take
because
a risk.
I was gonna say it's offered for $30. So theoretically, you were willing to say, "I'll pay $30," and now I've gotten 2 viewings out of it.
No, because I wasn't willing to make the initial payment until I knew it was good.
But now that you
Right.
know it's good, you should be technically willing to make the initial payment to support the film.
So here's,
If I went to see it in theaters.
there's a lot. There's a lot of
I already have it now. I can't take it
right,
back.
right. There's a lot of films that I acquire on the interweb,
Mhm.
and once I've watched them and enjoy them, I will go purchase them.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's just simply because I am about quality of picture and sound when it comes to film.
Yep.
And if it's a movie that I think the 4K Blu-ray disc is going to look way better than this
Lord of the
this
Rings.
compressed download that I have,
Yeah.
then I'm going to go out and buy it. But if it's not, I'm not going to buy it if I haven't test driven it.
I could have gotten the Lord of the Rings 4K versions through ulterior means, but
I did.
Sean did.
I
but-
just don't have $300 to drop on
But
them right now.
I got my stimmy and I knew how much I love those movies, and
Biden
I was
cash,
like,
baby.
hey, I could get these free, but I love them so much, I'm going to spend my stimulus money.
See,
to get these
Tom
in
Cruise
4K.
can't be mad at you.
No.
You supported Hollywood,
I
okay?
did.
Yeah.
You bought with
I
Biden cash.
supported Peter Jackson
There
and his
you go.
vision of Lord of the Rings.
That's right.
right.
And I would buy Top Gun in 4K. Now I wouldn't buy. I can't think of one of his bad ones recently. The only thing I watch with Tom Cruise anymore is Mission Impossible because I know those are good.
I'm thinking Far and Away is that one. He has a terrible Irish accent in that movie. I think that's with
that's
Nicole
with his
Kidman.
that's his wife.
Yeah, that was
Edge
just-
of Tomorrow.
I'm
is a
not
great
going out.
movie.
Yes, that one's good
I would
too.
buy that in
I'm not
4K.
going out and buying Jack Reacher. Okay, not that one.
That's not a bad
actually-
movie.
That's
That's a
actually
good
not
movie.
one of his worst movies.
I was saying, I don't think he's really the Mummy. Wasn't he in the
Ooh,
Mummy?
The
yeah,
new
that was a
Mummy.
Yeah,
bad
he was
one.
in the Mummy, the new one.
That was
yeah.
the one where they were trying to spark the Universal
mon- the
monster.
monster
their-
universe. Yeah.
Their monster universe, and then Warner Brothers stole that title when they created the Godzilla MonsterVerse. So yeah,
But anyways, I have more so less pirated films or TV shows, and I've definitely pirated music. Back in the LimeWire days,
Yeah.
a lot of my
I did that
iPod
before
library is
before
from-
iTunes Music. But then when iTunes Music came out, it was
Yes.
actually easier
It
to just
was.
pay the subscription
Well,
fee.
and
See,
especially
if
like
you make it easy for me, I won't steal.
well, that's why they do it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
seriously why they make some of the easy. Well, I mean, when the iPhone first dropped and they
I
didn't
pay
have
for,
the
like-
iTunes or App Store,
Yeah.
it was like the iTunes Store when it became available. It was easier for me to
You're
just
not paying
think of a
99
song.
cents a song.
Well, that's the thing is, see, like with an album, you go to the store or even
And then you got to rip
you
the
g-
CD
that's
into
what I'm
your
saying,
library.
You're paying, you
Yeah.
know, $12-15 for a CD
I used to
that
do
you
that.
only want one song from.
right.
There's not. I can't think of one album really where from beginning to end it's hit songs.
Yeah,
There's
Michael
some
Jackson's
of them.
about
Katy
it.
Perry, you know,
Yeah, she does.
she's
them
got
all.
one album where almost every song on it's legit.
Yeah, Teenage Dream.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
And but I'm just like, other than there's very few where I'm like, yeah, I want the whole album. Most of them I just want one song.
Right.
So until they had like the iTunes store where or Apple Music where you can just get the one song that you want, that's what I was doing. I'm not gonna go out and pay $15 for
Well, hell, that's
this whole album.
I
when
did
can
what-
exactly
download
what-
the song I want.
What
for free.
Brandon mentions is actually what I got the entire Led Zeppelin discography by just getting them from the library and ripping them. It's like
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I because you could actually get
Yeah.
CDs from the library. So I was like,
yeah. Well, you can
"Alright,
you can rent movies from the library too.
So I would go and get CDs, and then I would copy the CD, and it's like, there we go. Now I have Led Zeppelin's
whole-
discography.
But that is the thing. Like back in the day, that was
Yeah.
what Steve Jobs' whole initiative was with iTunes was to make it. And originally, the record labels were completely against it until they knew they couldn't fight it anymore, and enough people jumped on the bandwagon.
Yep.
And when you
Napster.
could pay
It's
99
do you
cents
wanna
for
make
a song,
a little bit of money or no money?
right? And that was the thing. The ease of use in which it came about ended up saving them a lot more money and put like a Napster out of business or
Yep.
a LimeWire where you're downloading a virus
yeah,
every other song.
nobody knows what LimeWire is anymore.
Well, it ended up being junk.
Yeah.
In
was
fact, I
junk.
think at one point my parents even like I don't know why they paid for like LimeWire Pro.
Oh
Oh,
God.
wow.
And it's funny because I'm just like the fact that you could pay for that,
Yeah,
and they did, and then now I mean it was better,
you
but
can
I'm
pay for
just like-
you can pay for BitTorrent
Yeah.
clients now,
and it's
so-
just funny because I'm
It
just
doesn't
like
make them any more legal.
yeah.
nope.
Well, again, torrenting in itself is not illegal. It's what you're torrenting for.
Mhm.
If you're doing it as a backup to something you already own, technically it's
true.
not illegal.
Yeah.
And they do allow that.
Technically,
I owned
that's
everything
law-
I've downloaded. Okay,
Right. Sure.
I'm
But
just
technically, the way the
I
law
lost it in a
is
fire.
for that is only the person that's uploading it is actually breaking the law. Like
Yeah.
if you're downloading it, you're
that-
technically
Yep.
not like I think if you were rich and you could get a good lawyer, you would win in court as being the downloader
well,
because the
easily.
uploader is the one who's actually
I'll
copying.
and I will say I always made
actually they
sure
can get you for possession of stolen property.
They could.
So
right, but
But I
didn't
could play
know-
dumb because
how do
here's
I
the
know
thing.
it's stolen.
And that was the
Maybe
thing
that
with
guy
BitTorrent.
owned it and uploaded it from
Well, but that was the thing with BitTorrent and why it made it because it was so hard to track the individual people because you
Yeah.
have seeders and you have it's this peer-to-peer thing
Well,
where
yeah.
you can't
I hide
individually
my
track.
IP address.
me too.
So
Well, everybody's got a VPN now.
Well, yeah.
But I specifically I pay for Apple Music,
Yeah, I
so
do
I
too.
could have every single song that I could think of that I
Yep,
want.
except Garth Brooks.
I
Pisses me
know,
off.
man. I know.
No Garth Brooks.
And-
on
And
Now,
it.
that's
here's
why I
Amazon
have to pirate
Prime.
Garth Brooks. If
Right.
he would put his
True.
music on there,
Well,
I
if
wouldn't
you
have
have
to steal
Amazon,
it.
you can listen to
You
it.
can
because
he allows it's
I
Amazon
do have
Prime
Amazon,
Music.
so
I guess they pay him a crap ton of money.
I
but
guarantee they do.
It ticks me off, man. Garth Brooks is the Thunder Rolls, man.
I know it.
or the dance.
I
Every
get on my
once in a
way
while, I
home
just
and
wanna-
I look search for it on Apple Music and it ain't there, and I'm like, I freaking forgot.
You gotta do Amazon.
I'm about to buy his albums, what he wants me to freaking do, and just rip them into my
You
damn
have an
iTunes.
Amazon subscription, don't you?
I do, but I don't. I don't
It comes
like,
with the.
But this is the
just
reason
use
why.
it.
This is the reason why I get Apple Music and I don't do Spotify. It's all in one library.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Right.
after literally 15 years of having an iTunes dedicated library where
Yeah, you don't
I
wanna
have
have
like
to,
10,000
You don't have to go back and
songs.
forth between two different apps
Exactly.
to listen to things.
So I love that when I add to my library, it literally just puts it in there with all my other music.
Yep.
So I don't have to change over to another app. And that was the genius of Apple Music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it's more successful than Apple TV Plus. It's just like I hate to say it, but it's
Apple
true.
TV Plus.
Is a joke.
It really is.
We'll talk about that another time.
Th- there's
But we've
always-
all done it in the digital age. We've all pirated things, and if you haven't, trust me, you've watched or listened to something that has been pirated.
Oh, yeah.
I know it. I know you have. And
I-
I have been a part of
Our good buddy
helping-
Jacob does. He will not pirate. I mean, he doesn't think ill of people who do, but he won't do it himself. But I know for a fact he's seen many things that have been pirated because he's watched many things that from me. So so whether he will do it or not,
He watches your Plex,
you know,
doesn't he?
yeah, he's used my Plex.
So
So,
he is.
hey,
yeah.
hey, those
Jacob.
are all screeners. Every
Culpable.
one of them.
every one of them just for us.
He's an accomplice.
We just need more people to review our movies, but we have tons of screeners every single week sent to us here at the Red Moon Studios.
Yeah.
Man, we just can't review them all. Sorry, guys. Just a small squad. Alrighty, guys. I think that's going to do it for us this week on the Red Moon Podcast. But you all know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Click on all of these social media network links at the bottom of your screen. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Picks, and search for Red Moon Productions on the old YouTubes. You can catch us live every single Tuesday night, 9 p.m., right here on YouTube, Facebook Live. We're on both those platforms. We're on a myriad of
Twitch.
platforms. Twitch.
I mean, come on.
D Live.
That's
I
where
don't
it's
even
at.
know what that is.
No.
But we have somebody who views it out there. I don't know who they are. We're also, you can check us out on Rumble. We're on Rumble. I'm uploading our stuff there. We're trying to get everywhere, trying to get the word out, and you can help us by subscribing, clicking that notification, that bell icon, and supporting us every single week here on the Red Moon Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You can also, good old-fashioned way, you all know what it is, right?
Email?
Huh. Sean?
rmpodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
Wow. So beautiful.
Well,
So
that
beautifully
wasn't
said.
that wasn't the radio voice. Keith, you do that.
RM Podcast at redmoonproductions.com.
Yes.
Wow. That's so beautiful.
I mean,
He just nails it every time,
Yep.
doesn't he?
makes me sweat.
Every time. Ooh.
You got to
Makes me do more than that.
Well, hey. Come on now.
I know I won't get into it. I won't get into it on here. Alrighty, guys. I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us. Hope you all enjoy the week to come. So until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and that was it.
That was it.
No poem this week.
Nope.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.